Hey, Lakers fans! We're back with a special video full of the newest news. First, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really helps us keep you informed every day. Okay, let's begin right away. I didn't want to miss that chance because we hardly ever get to be in the same place, and we haven't been in the same building much my whole career. LeBron James said some things about Michael Jordan that were a bit much. And finally, Larry Bird and Shaquille O'Neal said something. They didn't fight back. They pointed out something most fans never knew. One last comment changed the whole best-ever conversation and left LeBron with nothing to say. The thing that was too far. LeBron James has always acted like he respects Michael Jordan, but also sees him as competition. And we've seen this in lots of TV talks, league events, and chats with reporters after games. That balance broke after LeBron made a bunch of comments and moves that experts and former players saw as sort of disrespecting Jordan's legacy. This got quick answers from two guys who are perfect to reply, Larry Bird and Shaquille O'Neal. Their answers weren't just angry, quick replies, but a planned way to remind everyone of the old way of thinking, based on championships, what other players said back then, and how hard the competition was. It all began with how LeBron's talk about who's the greatest changed over time. In a few interviews, LeBron made it sound like his own career numbers are enough, and even better, pointing to how long he's played, all the points and stats he's collected, and how tough his time period is. Experts connected this to what he said right after the 2016 NBA Finals, when LeBron beat a Warriors team that won 73 games, and he said that made him the greatest player ever. Big news places like ESPN reported and talked about that claim a lot after the 2016 Finals. Even though he made it softer later, it stayed around. On the other hand, LeBron has also given Jordan a lot of praise out loud. At the NBA 75th anniversary event, LeBron directly thanked Jordan for inspiring him, saying on camera that part of him wouldn't be here without MJ, and that's saved in an interview after the event. This thank you is word for word in a TV conversation. There was so much wild stuff happening after we all went our separate ways. I didn't want to miss the chance to shake the hand of the guy who inspired me all through my childhood. I haven't talked much with him in my 20 years or 19 years in this business. This mix of respect and trying to take his place became the big dividing line for older guys watching. Larry Bird's words hit hard because of where he is in history. Bird played directly against Jordan in the 1980s in the Eastern Conference, and he famously beat Chicago badly in the 1986 playoffs, before calling Jordan God disguised as Michael Jordan, a quote that's saved and quoted a lot on NBA.com old records. Bird's opinion matters, not from TV talk, but from actually playing against him in different times. Bird's answer came out quietly, through interviews and people inside the league, not big popular clips. From reports put together in The Athletic's Looks Back at GOAT Talks, Bird said he worries that today's talk takes away the real story of how dominant Jordan was, especially with tougher defense rules back then, like hand-checking allowed, and how physical the playoffs were. Bird said Jordan had to score well, even with constant pushing, and that's backed by old NBA rulebooks kept in lead history files. Shaquille O'Neal's answer was right out there and public. O'Neal, a four-time NBA champ and Finals MVP, is in a special position. He played against Jordan during his second 3 championships in a row, and then ruled the league when LeBron was just starting. O'Neal keeps saying greatness should be judged by how scary you were at your best and total control. Stuff he says only Jordan really had. In lots of shows on TNT's Inside the NBA, O'Neal said Jordan ended arguments just by how he played. And that's repeated in Turner Sports interview collections. The making fun that people talked about wasn't one clear insult, but a slow buildup. Picking certain stories, using stats without adjusting for different times, and happy body language when LeBron passed Jordan-type records. Experts pointed to how LeBron acted after he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's scoring record, noticing Jordan wasn't mentioned in his thank you speech. A thing Sports Illustrated pointed out in their after-game story. Bird's old-school view pushed back on this. He said again that Jordan changed more than numbers, like growing the league worldwide, branding, and raising how everyone played. This matches money studies showing NBA cash growth during Jordan's best years, from Forbes' old looks at team values. Bird's point put Jordan as a huge force in the game, not just a great player. O'Neal took it further by talking about finals play. Jordan's 6 finals wins with 6 finals MVPs is still unmatched. You can check this on Basketball Reference finals records. O'Neal compared this to LeBron's finals losses, saying they're not failures, but show the competition was more even, not total control. O'Neal said Jordan killed even competition. LeBron's own words kind of backed this up without meaning to. On the Pat McAfee show, LeBron said Jordan stays out of the GOAT talk while he's still playing, because Jordan is super competitive and his career is done. This is right there in the show transcript. He's just at peace with everything now. He doesn't care about the argument between him and LeBron, because when you reach his level, in his head, you're never going to win that anyway. Bird and O'Neal saw this as proof, not the opposite. The big media world made their words even louder. People on ESPN, Fox Sports, and NBA TV put Bird and O'Neal's comments as older guys fixing the story, not attacking LeBron personally. ESPN's First Talk recaps called it veterans protecting the old standards they think are getting watered down by new stories. Importantly, neither Bird nor O'Neal said LeBron isn't great. Their complaint was about the order of who's on top. Bird said Jordan ruled without player power moves, resting games on purpose, or building super teams, backed by old roster records from NBA history. O'Neal added that Jordan's teams built around him instead of being put together for him. This is different from today's free agent moves studied by Harvard sports groups. The big shock came from when and how their comments lined up. Bird and O'Neal hardly ever team up on new talks, and them both stressing Jordan's total control made a strong, united story. Media called this a reset moment, covered in Bleacher Report's old player reaction stories. This togetherness made LeBron's words look not like disrespect alone, but like part of a new generation telling their own story. Bird and O'Neal put Jordan as the standard that doesn't need extra talk. Their point was respect has to come before comparing, not after. By the end of this part, the talk changed from counting stats to deeper ideas. The question stopped being who has more points or years, and went back to who made winning feel certain. Bird and O'Neal's words set up the next bigger push. If Jordan means certain wins, then any downplaying brings pushback. This led to more intense talk, deeper old comparisons, and old players who faced Jordan speaking up again, stuff that shapes the next part of the story. The first reactions showed a real split between old authority and new story control. Old players didn't see LeBron's confidence as just personal, but as part of a bigger change in how greatness gets talked about publicly. In old times, order came from actual games and results. Now, it's more from media repeats, picking certain angles, and fans backing it. This big change was the hidden worry in Bird and O'Neal's words. League history guys noted Jordan ruled when players had little control over their story. Jordan didn't do long, self-explained interviews, his own media, or legacy fixes. His reputation was built by rivals, coaches, bosses, and wins. This difference is in old media studies, comparing before internet and now, summed up in New York Times Sports Media Change Stories. Bird saw this difference as important. He said Jordan's legacy lasted without fixing because games kept proving it every year. Playoff knockouts, huge scoring games, and title wins made a loop of proof. Experts said Jordan's playoff stories reset each year with the same ending, seen in year-by-year records on Basketball Reference playoff pages. You know, he probably thinks he's the best ever. He should, but it doesn't matter what he does now in his career. The Lakers could win the next 2 titles, and that won't change how anyone on the Jordan side feels anyway. O'Neal said Jordan's time had no rewriting while it happened. Rivals didn't make excuses for losses. They accepted them. This made a steady group memory over time. Today's talk often adds excuses from situations, making wins less final. O'Neal called this the spot where respect turns into bargaining. As this idea caught on, people more often said LeBron's words weren't mean on purpose, but part of a system where legacy gets argued forever instead of settled by playing. Bird and O'Neal's words became about preventing change before it stuck. This made the stakes clear. It wasn't about LeBron's greatness, but if old dominance can be changed later by people who didn't live it. That question needed answers from those who did. The pushback from legends Larry Bird and Shaquille O'Neal didn't fade after the first news wave. Instead, it turned into a solid answer based on game stories, old records, and support from Jordan's time players. This part changed from opinion talk to proof comparison, making LeBron's words look like a challenge to agreed history instead of just confidence. Key was Shaquille O'Neal's talk about fear control, something he keeps bringing up on TV. O'Neal said greatness isn't from adding up stuff, but from making rivals know they'd lose before starting. He said Jordan made the whole league change behavior, forcing rule changes, defense plans, and team builds. This matches recorded changes like NBA hand-checking rules and illegal defense fixes in league rule history. O'Neal talked about how teams changed travel, defense turns, and who played to try to stop Jordan's scoring bursts. This shows in playoff game records with extra defenders on Jordan a lot, saved in Basketball Reference play-by-play files. O'Neal said today's defenses have more options with zones, so stars face different fights. I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and ever since that night, I'll never forget it. I was like, this is the guy. So I've been on this LeBron ride. Ups, downs, titles, losing titles, all of it the whole time, and endless LeBron-Jordan arguments. Larry Bird backed this by talking about how packed competition was. Bird said Jordan played when moving up in playoffs meant beating Hall of Fame guys over and over in the same conference. The late 1980s and early 1990s East had lots of 50-win teams every year, checkable in old NBA standings. Bird pointed out Jordan beat teams led by Isaiah Thomas, Patrick Ewing, and Charles Barkley again and again. Each is in the Hall of Fame per Naismith records. Bird's view fought back against stories that praise LeBron's many finals trips. He said getting to finals doesn't mean control if your conference is weaker. A point in 538's conference strength studies. Bird said Jordan's Bulls had to beat title-level teams before finals, making finals almost expected, not the big test. Media started seeing LeBron's words as typical of today's players controlling their story. Unlike Jordan, whose story was built after by others, LeBron shapes his through interviews and his own shows, noted in Talk Around the Last Dance versus LeBron's The Shop, covered by New York Times sports media reviews. O'Neal said it straight. Jordan never had to explain himself, repeated on many TNT shows and in NBA on TNT recaps. O'Neal's point was explaining means there's doubt. But Jordan's play stopped doubt while he played. This made LeBron's openness seem like strength and weakness. LeBron fans fought back with era-adjusted numbers like player efficiency, win shares, and box plus-minus, where LeBron is often top all-time from Basketball Reference advanced stats. Bird said these are extra, not the main thing, because they miss mental control and scaring rivals. The talk got hotter with old clips of Jordan's fierce play spreading again. 1992 Dream Team practice clips where Jordan owned top players came back on social media. These stories match old reports and later talks in NBA.com. Dream Team looks back. Bird used these as proof Jordan's drive showed even in practice. O'Neal added from his games against comeback Jordan. He talked about Jordan's prep, changing in games, and never giving mental edge. These stories are personal, but match Coach Phil Jackson's words in 11 Rings book, excerpts from Penguin Random House. The talk shifted more when people compared LeBron's team-first leading to Jordan's boss-like style. Bird said Jordan's way, even if harsh, got instant respect and kept high play. This matches teammate stories in The Last Dance, reviewed by ESPN. LeBron's way, with empowering others and agreement, gives long career and flexibility, but Bird and O'Neal say it misses Jordan's no-compromise sharpness. O'Neal said Jordan's teammates feared disappointing him more than rivals feared him. In many old Bulls interviews, saved by Chicago Tribune old stories. Stats comparison got big again. Jordan's scoring titles, defense awards, and MVPs listed against LeBron's long career records. Jordan's 10 scoring titles and 9 first-team All-Defense are in NBA awards history. Bird said Jordan's best years mixed top offense and defense, still unmatched. O'Neal ended this part saying Jordan never chased proof. He didn't use wins to answer haters. Haters came later. This point in Sports Illustrated GOAT pieces. By this stage end, the story changed big. Bird and O'Neal turned it from personal views to protecting group memory. They said history judges dominance by those who lived it, not later ones. This group proof set up the final big response. As old players, analysts, and history folks lined up with Bird and O'Neal, talk went past LeBron versus Jordan to how legacies get built, protected, and kept. The teaming of Larry Bird and Shaquille O'Neal got stronger as more old proof, friend support, and league memory back to them. What came out wasn't just answer to one LeBron comment, but pushback to a whole way of judging legacy by adding up stuff instead of ruling equals. Bird and O'Neal said Jordan's greatness came from beating top guys at their best again and again, not long stories. Bird based it on how many greats were around. He said Jordan's best years had tons of Hall of Fame talent in one conference. From 1988 to 1998, East had many MVP-level guys yearly like Isaiah Thomas, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, Dominique Wilkins, and later Reggie Miller. Their awards and playoffs in Basketball Reference player histories. Bird said Jordan knocked these guys out, one after another, often more than once, keeping them from titles. This made finals losses bad measure. Bird said Jordan's East playoff runs were like real title series, backed by close win totals in late 80s, early 90s conference finals, in old NBA standings by year. Compared to that, analysts said LeBron's final strips often came when his conference was weaker, deep in ESPN long conference strength looks. Shaquille O'Neal added on defense duty. He said Jordan's worth grew because he stopped rival stars himself, something LeBron often gives to others. Jordan's 9 first-team All-Defense in NBA awards records showed two-way rule. O'Neal compared to LeBron's best defense years, great but not steady, per play tracking in NBA advanced stats. O'Neal also said Jordan's teams didn't plan rest or load manage. Jordan led minutes many seasons, while scoring great, in Basketball Reference minutes logs. O'Neal said this toughness under old physical rules sets him apart. Jordan took hits without later whistle help. Media pushed it more. Old analysts called Bird and O'Neal defending real experience. NBA TV and ESPN Talk said Jordan's time players always gave him top spot, while LeBron's time has more even greats. Seen in the Athletic secret player polls, where Jordan tops retired player votes. The Talk took in big testimony. Jordan-era coaches said planning against him was about surviving, not winning. Phil Jackson's words on Jordan's mind games in 11 Rings parts show uneven prep. Opponents just hoped to hang on. In NBA.com, Coach looks back. Bird said Jordan changed league money. TV ratings for his finals hit all-time highs, in Nielsen studies summed by Sports Business Journal. Bird said culture reach ties to game control. Jordan's certainty went past court. O'Neal answered advanced stats arguments. He admitted LeBron tops add-up stats, but said adding isn't ruling. He pointed Jordan's top efficiency peaks and playoff scoring. In Basketball Reference playoff leaders, Jordan still has highest playoff scoring average ever. Talk grew with Finals MVP look. Jordan got it every title, 100% in NBA Finals MVP records. O'Neal said this shows clear team boss. Different from shared leading later. LeBron's own words came back as support not fight. On Pat McAfee, LeBron said Jordan stays out because his resume is done and perfect, kind of admitting it's vital. This clip spread big after Bird and O'Neal backing them. I think it's because I'm still playing, and MJ's, we all know MJ. Even if you don't know him, he's one of the most ruthless competitors. And until I'm done, and he doesn't have to watch me running up and down in number 23. He said legacy doneness separates Jordan from ongoing checks. Analysts agreed in long Sports Illustrated history pieces. As this part ended, talk set on experience versus talking. Bird and O'Neal put Jordan's rule as settled fact kept by time players, rivals, coaches, league. LeBron's greatness not questioned, seen as side achievement, not replacement. All this changed public view. Polls, shows, looks back more called Bird-O'Neal proof, not just view. Talk changed from who's better to who ended talk while playing, key to last part. Why the debate ended. Larry Bird and Shaquille O'Neal's words started a big group proof that made Michael Jordan's legacy a finished history, not open compare. This split Jordan's time from LeBron's still-going career. You're not calling me. It was great to see you all at the top 75. That was cool. That's straight respect, admiration, and just like, for sure from me. Big response came first in media shift. Big places started putting LeBron's words with old proof, not new opinions. ESPN, NBA TV, Sports Illustrated went from debate shows to history parts on era rule, playoff certainty, friend nods. Seen in long looks after new GOAT talk, like ESPN Jordan Legacy Files and Sports Illustrated Old Jordan Stories. Old Jordan time players boosted Bird and O'Neal. Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley, Gary Payton said again Jordan changed mind games before tip-off. Same in old interviews and talks in NBA.com Legends pages. Main idea was certainty. Jordan wasn't a guy to beat, but one to survive. This group story clashed with LeBron time. More shared greatness. Analysts said LeBron finals rivals often had similar superstars, sharing light and changing rule. Advanced finals matchup data in Basketball Reference opponent splits show LeBron faced teams with many all-NBA guys, more even than one ruler. Bird and O'Neal said, even is good, but waters down one-man rule. Talk added team behavior. Jordan time front offices worked under title block. Teams built to get cast bulls, not over them. In boss interviews and looks in Sports Business Journal. Today's builds focus flexible, star moves, asset trades, no one big block. Shaquille O'Neal pointed this with his Lakers time. He said even in Dynasty, teams thought Jordan back would reset top spot. Matches old reports on Jordan 2001 to 2003 comeback in Washington Post NBA Files. Just Jordan, maybe competing, changed league view without results. Larry Bird's part here on lasting culture. Bird said Jordan made lasting symbols, numbers, logos, world brand, no matter new wins. Jordan brand money lasting in Forbes reports. Bird said culture lasting means game finality. Rule so total it beats time. LeBron's side kept total impact, long play, changeability. Points total, playoff trips, all NBA picks, highlighted, all in Basketball Reference career leaders. Bird and O'Neal didn't fight these. They recalled them as lasting, not topping. Lasting stretches stories, while topping ends them. Talk hit turn point, revisiting LeBron's own Jordan nods. After ceremony talks, LeBron said Jordan inspiration shaped him, and chances to talk Jordan rare and big. This video clip came back as proof, not just respect. But part of me wouldn't be here without MJ's inspiration. I always wanted to be like him growing up. It's crazy that the game-winning shot tonight was a fadeaway inspired by MJ. Bird saw this as quiet admit of top origin. Analysts agreed in Ringer NBA history pieces. O'Neal closed with finals end. Jordan career ended with title shot and finals MVP. Perfect story end in NBA finals history. O'Neal compared to open careers that keep checking. Jordan left with no open game questions. As this set, polls showed steady, not split. Jordan top in retired player votes. In the Athletic poll reports, Bird and O'Neal called turn point in reports. Jordan legacy set in teaching and records. NBA shows more treat Jordan time as done unit, not compare point. Docs, features, Hall exhibits called Jordan rule base per Naismith Hall. LeBron spot clear. He's top of different type. Long, flexible, team great without moving Jordan's rule type. Bird and O'Neal message, not kicking out, but sorting. Greatness different without breaking order. The big shock ended, not as personal hit, but history close. Bird and O'Neal guarded game memory, keeping era lines. Their team-up said Jordan legacy not open for change by still playing guys. Debate end quiet, not loud. Media slowed. Shows changed topics. GOAT talk became occasional, not constant fight. Jordan spot steady as standard, not changing. Left was respect, not fight. LeBron career keeps adding wins, but Bird and O'Neal set adding doesn't change finished rule. Order kept, not by downing new great, but saying old finality. Jordan legacy, closed book of certainty. Friend backup, league lasting. LeBron legacy ongoing, big, different. Split between them. Backed by Bird and O'Neal. Not just better verdict, but some talks end not from loss, but history already chose. Well, that's it for this video. But don't go anywhere, because we've got plenty more heat for you. Just tap any of the cards on your screen right now and keep it locked. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. We're doing awesome. Please subscribe if you like the videos. Thank you again. See you in the next one. Have an awesome day.